Howdy-o, everyone! Velocity here, back in action for more Great Ace Attorney 2, Resolve Attraction. We are on the final trial, the Resolve of Renosuke Naruhodo, and it's the 4th of November, 9:30 a.m. Old Bailey courtroom. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Ursugi permitted to continue his role as prosecutor? He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Stronghard, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Kazuma? Whatever the outcome of this trial, give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defendant finds this acceptable, I presume. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Brock von Zeeks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Hosuke, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Sashiro Jigoku into the courtroom. And last then, we reach the final battle. It's putting literally everything on the line now, in order to get to the truth. Come on, Renosuke. It's time for a steadily resolve. This is going to test it to the limit. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Well, look what the young man has become. Didn't think he'd see the day. When you take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Senshiro Jigoku, Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never. That's the young murdering student, turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, if I somewhat expecting this, I'm sorry to say. I decline to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely, when I was invited guests, may be questionable etiquette. But my decision is unrelated to this case. Can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed. Which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I've obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. And it's as simple as that. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Grayson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan? The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right. And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Renosuke, I see from the look in your eye that you've resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Senshiro is involved in this case? It would be this, wouldn't it?
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: Kei Ozuki, Shin, T. Grayson, and John Wilson. You little... Where did you get that? In Tokyo? From your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you? What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Grayson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. Aosaki and Ashin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, after John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital, the culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett. But her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. Asa Shin and her victim, Jay Olsen. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Osaki, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Grayson. K. Osaki and T. Grayson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. The telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Judge Jigoku? What's this all about? And you, Kazuma? You lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you accepted the assassination mission. But the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Grayson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Renosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Senshiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. You deliberately avoided saying a name? The defense claims these full names indicated some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? Silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of the Inspector Grayson's actual murder was in the witness cabin aboard the SS Cruise. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. If you refuse, would put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well, then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. Seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st of October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. The Assassin Exchange. It's true that Kazuma Osaki was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Grayson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty, outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewmen would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. So you admit it then, as this communication suggests. There really was an assassination exchange arranged between Britain and Japan. Political endeavor at the highest levels. Not something I can discuss here. Use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Osaki had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? Kazuma-sama. Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obligated to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accept the mission. Well, the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange with the defense, as identified, is unrelated to the events of this case. A crucial point is this. Your police inspector can have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. As if you've been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Grayson was killed after returning to London, in a room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Rock von Zeeks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such malfeasant dealings. Clearly, it's a plot only a government minister and a high-ranking judge such as the witness would hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that there was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it's not the place of this court to pursue this villain's assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only for the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Grayson. The defense clear at that point, Counsel. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Oh, not allowed. Okay. Too high for the court, huh? Okay, so... target was Inspector Grayson. So, can we press this? Why Kazuma? Why did he pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants. And in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. His whole purpose in life. Yes, as his best friend, I could certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer, it was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Osagi. There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asagi. Well, why was Inspector Grayson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have an idea? Really? Find that hard to believe. Oh, do you? Judge Jigoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Grayson from that time. The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Osagi. However, in the end, okay, yeah, it's unable to carry out his mission. I don't think that's gonna give us anything. So let's pursue this. Outside your cabin in the first-class area of the SS cruise, you mean? Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of a crew man, guard himself. What do you mean? Because I accompanied Inspector Grayson to Dunkirk that night, I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door into the witness's cabin. At that particular time, of course, I got to the ship's dining room for dinner. Inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Jigoku's return. Suppose Inspector Grayson was there, his capacity as the Reaper? He was intending to make the witness's life. Exactly. As I said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crewman who let two potential assassins into the cabin, he was supposed to be guarding? Not the most convincing of sentries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Grayson for a short while. And then I left him there, and made my way off the ship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you, went? Yes. He glared at me as I walked past. You see? That proves it. How does that prove it? Would have heard it, so clearly not involved.
Hold it!
The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean? That's right. The muscular man with a permanent grin expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. There's no doubt that Grayson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that. But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired. Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash. Oh. You will recall that my cabin was in the first-class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like a steerage, where the judicial assistants go. I didn't mean... But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. What's that? A bullet hole. Oh yes, you're talking about what the detective uncovered on the wall yesterday, I presume. That was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. Ugh. It's the wholeness argument? Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot, and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true. The witness's logic is sound. No gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question. We must assume that the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. I know Kazuma's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot. Even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable. Using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. But I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He completely double-crossed him. Oh dear, it's hard not to see that it's a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part. One way or another though, Grayson ended up dead. Believing the murder must have happened on board that steamship. So you mean Judge Jigoku must be lying? I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment, but you must destroy him, Mr. Naruto. Okay. So I'm not really getting anything that would directly be like, this is present. What is this? You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's that part on the top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown, I believe. My watch would be quite useless without one. A crown? Like what sits on top of a monarch's head? It's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually... Yes, Mr. Naruto? If this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here. Someone with a very bare head. Oh, by monarch you mean pocket watch. I'm quite sure you have. Oh? This is the whole thing. It's the crown, eh? Oh, following the departure of the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. Oh, no. No. We got his ass. We got his ass with this. So it wasn't because... Boom!
Objection!
Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jingoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the ship. The 31st. What? Where did you get that? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Shlums. You were acquitted yesterday, if you remember. Herlock Shlums again. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m. and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Cruise were to gather on deck for evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts. During the 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you have ample opportunity to commit the crime. Ugh.
Objection.
20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Renosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Unless you have some decisive evidence that could show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, Consul? Inspector Grayson was killed in Judge Jingoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, Counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Judge Jingoku's cabin on the 31st of October? It's this!
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch? And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown has a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact this was retrieved from Judge Jingoku's cabin tells us the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. Ugh. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. Well, you'll raise a shop, aren't you, you young murderer?
Objection.
Expertly maneuvered, Renosuke. Your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What? I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? If I had known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bumses. I think it's clear, but the witness will have to give further testimony. To hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Oh. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony. And we'll see that next time, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you can. Sayonara. Bye-bye.